She hit my door at 6:01 a.m. Knuckles sharp camera. Blinking a pink slip pressed to my glass like a scarlet letter. $500 for an unauthorized structure that was nothing more than a temporary wheelchair ramp for my mom, and the way she looked past me into our living room like we were lowering the neighborhood by breathing, that happened. And a part of me I usually keep bolted down came loose right then. I'm Jake Lawson, 36, journeyman electrician. The kind of guy who knows the weight of a toolbox and the sound a breaker makes when it's about to fail. And a month before all this, I moved into Silver Pines Estates outside Flagstaff to get my mom Ruth through hip surgery. And the long, slow walk back to normal. The place looks peaceful at dawn, all stucco and matching mailboxes and birds that don't know about meetings. But peace around here wears heels and carries a clipboard. The HOA is run by a woman named Marla Kent, mid-50s, immaculate, Bob perfume, like lemon, and litigation, and that morning with the sun touching the driveways and the world still soft. She tapped my violation with one neat fingernail and said, bright as a bell, applications aren't approvals. Remove the ramp today or the fines escalate. Like escalation was a feature of the neighborhood. I told her the ramp met ADA slope that my application packet was in, with contractor license drawings, color swatch, the whole 9 yards. And she smiled the kind of smile people practice in cars and said, we can't make exceptions. Then everyone will want one. And the way she said, everyone, I felt it land people like you. And I kept my voice level because my hands still smelled like hospital soap. Told her mom was coming home that afternoon, told her I'd follow the process, and Marla took photos of my porch like it was a crime scene and left a community-wide email by lunch. Subject line, non-compliance alert, lot 212, which everyone knew was me because my truck magnet was in the photo. And by dinner, I had a tow warning because one tire kissed the sidewalk and my gate fob died on day 3. So I sat in the visitor lane while Marla slid through the resident gate and gave me a little wave, like we were old friends. I decided right there to bring a binder to a gunfight. You know what I mean? No yelling, no scenes, just receipts. So I carried a tabbed packet into the HOA office. The community manager, Nolan, said the ARC meets 3rd. Thursday, I was on the agenda decisions. In 10 days, and 10 days feels like a month when your mother needs a safe step tonight. But I smiled, took a photo of the date on the wall, and went home to make a folder on my phone called Silver Pines, Receipts, and I started feeding it like a wood stove in January. Day 4, there's an intent to place lien taped to my window with a date that looked like it wanted to be yesterday, May 5. A hobby drone hovers over our porch camera, pointed straight at Mom's loaner wheelchair. I walk out slow with my phone up. Capture the serial in the frame as it banks toward the clubhouse roof. And I don't know what I'll do with that yet, but I save it, because saving is a habit when you've been underestimated long enough. The soul of a neighborhood shows up in the cracks. That's how I met Jared across the street, single. Dad fined $250 for a 6-inch flag because it wasn't on the approved list. He tells me to talk to Miss Boudreaux on Birch retired county clerk with iced tea. Strong enough to fix a battery. And she says, honey, the county's got its own portal. The HOA isn't the only courthouse, writes the URL down, like it's a secret recipe. And that night, the portal shows my ramp permit accepted by the county. Pending HOA sign-off 2 days before that first fine, which is either a clerical miracle or a mess. And then I open the PDF attached to the county file on the HOA approval line. Sits the name M. Kent, in tidy script dated 2 weeks earlier. And when I check the metadata, the file was created Sunday at 2:11 a.m. from a residential IP, not the HOA office network. So I drive to the county building department, and a tech named Dion prints the access log and slides it across like she's just moving paper, not shifting the ground under my street. I file an ADA accommodation request log, a drone harassment report with the serial, send the board a written request to hold my ARC hearing open to members per their own CCNRs, and somehow, instead of answering Marla, sends another newsletter about one resident refusing procedure, calls me a serial non-complier, proposes an emergency rule to hide medical ramps from view, and the day they try to tow my truck while I'm hauling groceries for Mom. The driver looks at her walker, looks at my camera, whispers. They told him board pre-approved and backs off because he still remembers people are people, and Cliff Barrett from the board taps the pepper spray can on his belt like he wants me to see it. Mutters compliance is cheaper than lawyers, and my reflection in his sunglasses looks small enough to swallow, which is when that bolt inside me clicks into place and the noise in my head goes quiet. I build a timeline pink slip at 6:01 a.m., Tuesday county application. Sunday, before HOA approval. With Marla's signature, 2 weeks earlier gate fob dead. Thursday, drone. Friday, lean intent. Saturday, with a date that hates daylight. And I print everything big and clean and color-coded. Ask my friend Alma Greer, a construction lawyer who fights like a hummingbird. Small, but relentless to sit in the back and say nothing until it's time. And I walk into that clubhouse smelling like coffee and carpet cleaner and waiting rooms, folding chairs, lined up fluorescent lights, humming neighbors against the wall like a jury that didn't agree to serve Marla in a navy suit under a canvas painting of pines at Sunset Cliff. To her right, with his arms crossed like a statue. Tina the secretary shuffling papers to her left, Nolan pretending to be furniture. Marla opens with that kindergarten principal tone. This is about uniformity and safety, sir. Lawson refused reasonable alternatives. A side entry ramp would be less visible, and I let the silence sit. Then lay my binder down and start with the doorbell ham still. 12 a.m., pink slip in her hand, $500. Then the county portal printed in color, showing accepted and pending before her, and then the HOA PDI. The neat M. Kent signature, dated 14 days earlier, the 2:11 a.m. Sunday creation from a residential IP, and I pass the access log to Tina and watch her swallow and place it face down like a bad hand in poker. And when Marla says what I have is a draft, and my packet was incomplete, I ask which part the license, the slope diagram, or the paint swatch that matches 5 houses on our block, and I tap the TV and roll the drone footage, the little insect hovering over Mom's chair, then banking toward the clubhouse roof, and I ask who authorized aerial surveillance of a private porch, and the room goes loud, because it turns out people who like rules do not like cameras over their breakfast tables. And Cliff leans into his mic and says, "We use the drone for common area maintenance," which would be cute if my porch was a park. Alma stands. Then voice mild reads, Arizona's fraudulent lien statute and the federal retaliation rules for disability accommodation. Reads the HOA bylaw that says officers can be removed for falsification and harassment. No fireworks, just law. And she sets a stapled stack on the table like a glass of water and sits down. And you can feel the air shift because proof is heavy when it lands in the right room. There's a beat where Marla could apologize, could say the quiet thing out loud. But she doubles down. Says this is a misunderstanding, and the board acted in good faith to protect property values. Says, if I had worked with them, none of this would happen. And I don't raise my voice. I just set 2 final papers side by side. The tow order labeled Proceed and the lien notice, with the date that twitches under bright light, and people read they are very good at it. When the font is big and the lies are small, Tina clears her throat like someone stepping off a ledge and moves to remove the president for cause under the bylaws. Cliff tries to table it, owners raise hands. Nolan, who has looked tired since Reagan, stands and counts. And when he says the motion carries, it lands in the room like a power line. Hum steady and undeniable. He asks Marla for the binder and her badge, and she hugs the binder for half a second, like it's a life preserver. Then sets it down, and the room doesn't clap. Because fluorescent rooms don't do that, but I feel the ceiling get a little higher. I feel Mom's hand slide into mine, light as a bird, and we walk out slow. One hand on her elbow, one hand on the ramp that outlived the storm. I don't think HOAs are evil by design. I think control is a habit, and habits get mean. When nobody says stop. I think rules should keep us from hurting each other, not give someone a stick and a smile and a spot in the newsletter. And if you've ever been on the wrong end of an organized voice with a laminated sheet, you know the taste in your mouth when you finally get to breathe again, you know what I mean. And yes, I brought a binder to a gunfight, and the binder won. So tell me, do HOAs protect communities, or just property values? Where is the line between order and control in your town? What did justice look like on your street? When somebody with a badge got it wrong? Drop your city. Your story. You're right or wrong in the comments. And if you've been that underestimated neighbor with the receipts, say how it ended. I'll be reading them all.